Well, hello there, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Andrea Michaels here with the latest on the weather impact forecast, and we're going to be talking about a quieter night ahead, the lake effect, the snow showers, and even some of the snow squalls that were mostly along the western and northern portions of the state. Those are subsiding, and it's not going to be nearly as blustery, but still a bit chilly for sure heading into tomorrow. Moving onward, briefly mild, and we are going to be watching a system, a coastal system that's going to try to develop later this week, Thursday in particular, but the big question is where, and obviously when you see these signals even a week and a half out, and I have made some posts about it, that's still going to be the question until you get to within a few days of it. Sometimes it takes until 3-4 days for those answers to become clear. So we'll talk about that, and I'll break it down and kind of hopefully give a little more insight into it based on what I can talk about it and tell you, at least, from a meteorological standpoint, with a reasonable amount of confidence. Just the facts, not the hype, not the potential, just what we can tell you right now, because we don't do totals until it's close enough to do that. Anything more than even 4 or 5 days out is a complete waste, and 3 days it's arguably so, depending on that. Ooh, many of you jumping on already. Hello, Adam and Keith and Dean and even Irving. I'm not matching anything today. Maybe if I wore green, the Eagles would have won. I'm gonna pretend that didn't happen and try to perk up a little bit. I might have a little bit of a disappointment on me right now. I gotta pull myself up from it, obviously. Anyway. Yes, I know Philadelphia did not win. Yeah, you guys, Keith, got lucky and pulled off your Steelers game. Me, I was just very hesitant with the offense. Obviously, it's just not been performing all year, and I don't think it's just a player problem. I think it's a coaching problem, too. I'm just going to put it out there. I think if somebody wasn't somebody's buddy, maybe there'd be a little more accountability, at least. I don't know. I guess we don't know what actually happens behind the scenes, but when we're doing the same old and getting nowhere, it's hard not to feel like that, although it does seem like they tried a little bit more at this time around, but it ultimately wasn't enough. And it's a shame because we have, that's a Super Bowl worthy defense. But offense, they got to figure it out during the offseason, I guess, and get it together, but at least we had a Super Bowl win last year, and I was excited for just one. If you asked me if we would have two, I would have, in my lifetime anyway, I wouldn't have really just been feeling it. I would be like, what? No way. So, I guess you got to try to look on the bright side of things. So we'll look at the bright side of the weather forecast, and that is that there will be a little more sunshine tomorrow. We'll have partly sunny skies tomorrow, also for Tuesday. Mostly cloudy, though, if not overcast, Wednesday. We'll be watching for a few showers, which I'm noticing now says a few shower. Boo-hoo. I was doing that remotely from home, so when I punch that in, it's very teeny tiny on my screen. I guess I'll fix that now. My eyes, man. I know I'm not that old yet, but oof, they even give me trouble at nighttime now while I'm driving. The people who shine the brights that I ranted about a couple weeks ago on this stream do not help. But there we go. That should change before your eyes and hopefully fix itself in like a second or two. I just fixed that. So a few showers, obviously mild with temperatures in the low and mid 40s for Wednesday. But that front is an Arctic cold front. Now, a couple things here that we're going to watch for Thursday. I did put in the chance for some snow showers. It's very possible rain showers could mix in, but with the way the cold is coming in, it makes me question if we're not going to be in the 40s. It makes me question the modeling showing rain showers when I'm looking at the upper levels of the atmosphere. Wet flakes maybe being mistaken on some of the modeling for rain. So my gut tells me primarily, obviously, if we are to get the snow showers, that's an if. I'm going to just put that out there right away before we touch upon that a little bit more coming up shortly, of course. But, yeah. Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on that, but whatever happens should be out of here in the morning Friday, mostly before daybreak, so I just went with a partly sunny and thought about an early morning snow shower, but we'll see. I think I want to wait for knowing where the placement of the main coastal low is going to be before I go that far out. And then we're watching stray snow shower chances Saturday, maybe Sunday. There are hints in the pattern through at least the first half of next week that, I mean, something could try to happen again along the coast. We're noticing the southern branch of the jet stream. It's been trying to become more active this month. We're backing off of a La Nina. We are still expected to go neutral, and that's going to, I think, help that for sure, and also help with Arctic air, even though, you know, this wasn't a strong La Nina, but it doesn't help either. So not having a La Nina and having a more neutral season allows other patterns to dominate, and that could make it a little bit more variable and a little more volatile, which is why in our winter weather outlook that you can obviously find pinned to my personal Facebook page at the very top, I have a summary of it, but you can also find the complete breakdown on our streaming platform, Fox43 Plus, the app, and you can also find it at fox43.com. That was one of the reasons why we think it could be a little bit more interesting for February. So we'll talk some stuff about that once I get to it. Oh, wow. You guys are already chiming in already here. Wow. I got to play catch up here. Anyways, yeah, everything is windy. It's been a gusty one today. And then, hey, David, thank you for jumping in. And then Jason, you had a very busy evening out here. Oh yeah, I bet there are a lot of accidents because of some of those snow squalls and just snow showers. Oh, one in Perry County. Oh, boy. Well, the good news is, Jason, I don't think being on standby, you're going to have to do much from this point onward because everything has been fizzling, so that's the good news. And then, hello, John. Thank you for jumping in. Extra daylight. So every day this month we tack on minutes. I think you're referring to the post I made, Keith, about gaining daylight, how much we actually gain in the month of January, and extend our daytime as opposed to, and our nighttime shrinks. From what I remember, I believe it was 40 minutes in total, if I remember the graphic correctly, but now, of course, because I'm on the spot and I'm on a live stream trying to recall it, I can't remember exactly, but it was something to that effect. And then Dean, you say you figure you can bank on Squallfest to cycle through until the lakes freeze over. Yeah, pretty much. It'll be interesting to see. I have yet to check just how frozen Lake Erie is. Lake Erie is the only lake of the Great Lakes that's shallow enough to freeze over. It doesn't happen every year, but if it does freeze over, that definitely does shut down the lake effect. So that can give a little bit of relief for folks who might not be the biggest fan of all of this when it happens. And yeah, Daryl, definitely a cold one all day. Yeah, Keith, you guys out near the Pittsburgh area, southwestern PA, you guys got mild. Oh, that was nice. But, you know, that's just the way the state is. It's wild how, you know, one day you can go from 50s and 60s and easily just go down to 30, 20-ish degrees. Not even 24 hours later in some instances. Gotta love it. When was the last time we saw a big snow over a foot in one go? Huh. I cannot oh, man. Thinking back off the top of my head here. I don't think... I would have to look and check, but I'm going to say it's been at least 5 years where we've had, and I'm only thinking for my area too, for South Central Pennsylvania, because that's what I focus on more than anything. It might have been quite some time. I know, especially the last few years, we've been relying on small events. Obviously, we've had some not so good snow years mixed in too, but if I recall, I think it was 21 to 22 that winter. I don't believe we did that bad here in Harrisburg. I think we were near, if not a little above average, if I remember right. I believe this was the season before we started issuing winter weather outlooks. So that's why the details are a little fuzzy, because I really, have been teaching myself, or at least trying to self-teach and get a little bit better at this. Yeah, I was about to say, 2017, you think? I mean, that wouldn't shock me. I know it's been at least 5 years. At least. I would have to go back more and look at the data, Keith, to jog my memory on that. 2011, 17 inches. Oh, man, even longer than that. That would be crazy. Oh. But, yeah. 2014, I mean, that's very possible, Irving. It is very... Well, no, because there was 2016. The big one in February, or was it 2015? February 2015, right? Whatever. Or it was either the... 2015 or 2016, let's see. No, I think it was 2016. 2016 when we got that big one. That was the last, big one that we got. So, I mean, that's probably, that very well might be it. Jeez. Hi, Jonathan. Thank you for jumping on. Semi-lurking while watching the Pats. Well, I'm a bitter Eagles fan right now, so... Nah, I hope it goes your way. How about that? Anyway, not bitter, just disappointed and sad, I guess. But life moves on, right? And we shall move on too. We'll get to the picture here. We had, of course, more so it was upper level junk that was affecting our day today. There was a nice big upper level trough. We had some surface trough features too to go along with it, but the energy with it is really what helped get those snow squalls going this morning in western Pennsylvania, and then ultimately spread east, a little more east at times into the afternoon. I was watching, man. I was holding off on hopping in the shower. Don't be creepy, guys. I was holding off on that, just waiting for a snow squall warning to trigger in our area, because I was really mad. The night of the snow squalls on New Year's Eve, our system just decided, nope, I'm not going to post any of them for whatever reason. So I was hoping, at least in Mifflin County, we could get one so that I could see if it got fixed and if it worked, or at least try to diagnose it, or so I can cry at the weather company if not, and yeah, and yell at them for products that, fails us at times where they need us. Like, come on now. But no such luck getting them into our area. They were really just north of South Central Pennsylvania, a lot of the usual spots, and west. And just west. I mean, I was surprised that the one around midday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I was looking at that as I was moving through Mifflin County. I was really surprised that warning didn't get extended, at least a little longer, but it is what it is. We are quieter now. High pressure will be building in. You'll notice it more so Tuesday and Wednesday, but it's eventually going to help moderate us briefly through the middle of the week. So zooming in, you can see a lot of those snow showers across South Central Pennsylvania have completely fizzled. Maybe you're still seeing a few flakes and whatnot. Some really strong wind gusts, though, still with them at this time. We still have some snow showers, and even in parts of York County, there were spots in Lebanon who said they saw it too. There was a little bit of grapple, which is kind of like a powdery snow pellet. It's not sleet. People often mistake it for sleet or even hail. Makes me cringe when people even think to call it hail. But taking a wider view out across the state, still some snow showers of the lake effect kind moving through the northeastern portion of the state and the Scranton area. Also looks like northern portions of the Poconos and eastern Endless Mountains, roughly speaking there. And then just a few flurries elsewhere. Everything will continue to taper. I think we're past the worst of it at this point. And we'll just have the breeze through the night. But even that's going to let up a little tomorrow. It won't be nearly as strong. I don't believe we have any wind advisories that are going to be ongoing. I know they're currently in place for the Laurel Highlands. I don't think those are going to go past 1 o'clock in the morning on Monday, if memory serves me correctly. But, oh yeah, a little bit of snow made you buy some tires. NYU was no picnic either, you say. Oh, wow. And then You said DBZ was conservative with toneouts this AM, or PBZ, sorry. Is there a destructive tag requirement for that? I have no idea. Maybe? I don't know. But they can just take people so suddenly. I mean, I know it's not the perfect way to describe it, but it's kind of like the severe thunderstorm warning of winter now, to have a snow squall warning. The impacts are obviously different. The winds aren't as strong, but you can have whiteout conditions, and you can also have not just the reduced visibility from that, but when it's unexpected and the roads aren't treated, I mean, you could quickly, a half an inch of snow or even a coating sometimes. I mean, when drivers aren't prepared, or even maybe they are prepared, but still, you just takes one person to make one mistake. So I don't know. It just baffles me. I don't know what the criteria necessarily are that they're looking for on radar before issuing it, or if it's a combination of things. But I was surprised in Mifflin County that didn't go a little longer. Not the case tomorrow, though. Let me get my trusty little pointer here. You'll notice south central Pennsylvania mostly hovering around 40 degrees in the southeastern portion of the state. More sunshine is going to be ahead with temperatures mid-40s in the Philadelphia area and the surrounding suburbs. A little chillier as you would expect up in the Lehigh Valley, and then heading into the northeastern portion of the state. Temperatures will be in the mid-upper 30s. That pretty much extends into the north-central portions. Some of the PA wilds, I wouldn't be surprised, especially closest to the northern tier, like Bradford there at 28. That's a pretty, given cold spot in the state, where if you were to pick one spot that's going to be cold in the state anytime, or colder, relatively speaking, yeah, that would be the one. So don't be surprised if there are some high 20s into parts of, say, Potter County, Bradford, 28 degrees there. And then, of course, western portion of the state, Laurel Highlands, west, including the Pittsburgh area, Erie, Lake Effect country, you're looking at mid and upper 30s, although mid 30s is probably the better bet with the way the chillier air has come in, and wind chills are going to be a factor too. So let's talk about the wind gusts. Through the night, you'll notice they do at least come down a touch. They're not going to be nearly as bad, but they do pick up again after daybreak. The light breeze will still make it feel much colder, obviously. I know that's kind of a given this time of year, called wind chill for a reason. But I think generally speaking, tomorrow wind gusts pretty much along, I feel like a rough estimate here, Allegheny Plateau-ish, even along the northern part of the Allegheny Plateau. I think a general 20 to 35 miles an hour for wind gusts, maybe some isolated 40, but I don't think it is enough for a wind advisory to go into Monday. And then everywhere else, 20 to 30 miles an hour. So we'll keep that going here. And then they come down a little bit Tuesday night, still a breeze. And then you'll notice this breeze, but notice where these streamlines are coming from the south. So that means that's a south breeze. So that's going to start warming us up and a good bit. Oh, Dean, I know. Those valleys up there can definitely get very frigid. And the cold air can just get stuck in those valleys too up there. It's very... It's really its own little those spots are really their own little microclimates. It's so interesting to watch. I am trying to focus a little bit more statewide now than not. I don't know if anybody's noticed on my page, but that's just because so many of you, especially some of you who are hopping on, are outside of South Central Pennsylvania. So I kind of just want to, have you guys feel included too, because I'm just, grateful that you guys are here joining me week after week too, and just following on my daily posts as well. So I'm giving it my best shot, guys. So hey, it's a good way to challenge myself and expand, and I'm always big on learning and growing. How can I get better every year? If you're not, what are you even doing, right? I don't like to be complacent. Anyways, moving onward, we'll talk the chills now. Brr, the parts that we might not necessarily like. So getting out the door in the morning, wind chills across the state, generally speaking, we're looking at teens and we're looking at 20s. Higher numbers, south central portion of the state, so like Dutch country pretty much, any areas east of the Alleghenies towards the Philadelphia area. And then when you get your teens, that's going to be, you know, your western Alleghenies, your Laurel Highlands, and, you know, the usual cold spots up here that just love to freeze. And then, yes, some pockets in the Poconos and maybe the Endless Mountains too. But, yep. It does get a little better, though, come the afternoon. Temperatures will be more seasonal for this time of year. Approaching 40 from, well, we'll just say east of the Alleghenies, which includes parts of Franklin, Juniata, Mifflin counties, technically, and especially Fulton and Bedford and whatnot. And then you get into the Laurel Highlands by, you know, this point here. Anyways, though, anywhere to the east, you'll see, you know, low 40s for feels like numbers. Yeah, maybe a little bit chillier than that, because I think with a 20 mile per hour, I think this model might be a little off in these areas, just because when you have a 20 mile per hour breeze with a 45 degree temperature, pretty sure you're going to get a little more of a wind chill than a 42. But Irving, this is one model in particular. This is our graph model. It usually does a pretty good job, so I do use this one model just to, you know, take you through it. But if I think a model is so egregiously wrong, I don't think I can show it, I will choose a different one that I think does. But for the short term, and by the short term I mean the next, you know, 24 to 48 hours, I find this model that our computer graphics system supplies actually does a very reasonable job. Especially with wind gusts, it does pretty decent. You tested the temp difference at, I'm going to butcher this, Kinjwa Skyway once with a Kestrel, and you saw a 15 degree drop. I believe that. I mean, elevation can, it's crazy what can, and think about this too when you're talking winter weather, that can be the difference between, you know, icing versus rain versus snow. It can create quite the challenging forecasts too in those areas. It's wild. Yes, Irving, I do compare them and then get it together. Yeah, I definitely do. I look at multiple models, and there are some I favor more than others. I'll straight up say it. There are. And in certain situations, there might be a model that I favor because I see it performs well in this particular instance. It's just kind of, you know, watching, learning them all. Sometimes they can do well, and other times they can fall off the bandwagon. So no singular model is ever consistently always good and always the best. I mean, I know the European model definitely, I know that the European model definitely has the reputation for being the best overall, but even it has its shortcomings. I've noticed it's not the best with cold air damming, for example, especially in the late summer and the fall time, where there might be hints at that and whatnot. It definitely struggles in those situations. So there's a good amount there. And then, hello, Logan. I don't know you, but thank you for joining. Yeah, living down the road from microclimates here. Where do you live, if you don't mind letting everybody know that here on the stream? I'm just curious to get an idea. Hello, near Bradford. So I'm assuming, are you up there in north central Pennsylvania too? Let me know. Oh, Dean, you know him. Okay. I'm starting to make friends outside of my little... I'm trying to, outside of my little, outside of my little, what do I want to call it? My little network? I don't know. Network isn't exactly the word I want to say, but, yeah. I mean, like little girl growing up on a hill. That's what, you know, going out and exploring the world. I kind of mean it in terms of that. Chaser from Kane. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome, Logan, and thank you for hopping on. That's great. We are talking, of course, wind chills. I'll keep going on, so I'm not dragging too much for everybody. Sorry, I'm really trying not to be depressed about these Eagles. It's just, it's bleeding through. If I seem like I have a little less energy, yeah, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. I'll get over it by tomorrow. I go to bed, get the bad feelings out, and then I wake up and it's like a new day, but I just need that new day, and I need it like now, but I still have time left. Anyways, temperature trends, and yes, this is for Harrisburg, guys. Sorry, Harrisburg specifically, because that is what I forecast for in their TV market. But you can add or take away and adjust just kind of based on how you know you guys are, and that's going to typically be the way to do it. Regardless, though, the trend, no matter where you live, is going to be milder by Tuesday and Wednesday. And then, of course, the numbers start to drop down Thursday and Friday because the next Arctic front is going to approach. I've been keeping an eye on this. I'll admit I wasn't really looking that much at first. I was coming off of, I guess, was it? No, I think I was done my holiday weekend by that point. I gotta look at my calendar. Okay. I was coming off my holiday weekend, and I was like on the 5th. So I'll admit, I was kind of enjoying myself and trying to kind of disconnect as much as I possibly can anyway. Yeah, Mark, oh my gosh, I can't talk about that game. Ugh. The play, it just ended exactly how the entire season has been failing, and that is with offense, not being able to do it. Anyways, okay, done. I shouldn't have said that. Yeah, Keith, the Niners won. Boo them. I mean, generally I like them. I have no beef with them, but boo them tonight because they beat us. Hey, Greenfield Lawn Care and Landscaping. Thank you for hopping on, guys. Okay, so you are just south of Bradford. Oh, cool. Good to know. Thank you. Well, I look forward to interacting and chatting more. I'm just trying and learning and, joining some of the Facebook communities and trying to contribute so I can learn about what's happening outside my little hole, too, and see, just looking to expand and challenge myself and just be more in the know. It's good for me, I think. Anyways. Yeah, so we're about to get to that, actually. Maybe some snow Thursday. Keeping an eye on it. In fact, let's get to it. I'm going to start with the upper level pattern here, showing the warm-up before the upper level trough digs into the area. This seemed pretty clear, but I did have a viewer ask me after my extended weekend on Monday the 5th about a snowstorm on the 15th, and then I was just like, oh, here we go again. Did somebody post some GFS, 583 million hour forecast that had like 2 feet of snow or something? Because, the mild that was supposed to slip in for January, we did have that in our winter weather outlook, that we did think there would be more mild swings again come January. Not to say that it can't get cold, and just because it's a milder month does not mean you can't get winter weather, whether it be ice or snow. You just need enough cold. It doesn't have to be 20s, teens cold. It doesn't have to be December cold. You just need enough cold. And when you have enough cold, you also need the proper setup. So some of the things that given me pause about this, usually this is the beginning of the cold surge of air coming in. You can get storms upon the arrival. It's not unheard of. I find that just before the cold lifts out, though, and you get back to a mild swing of everything, if you got those key players in place, that can be a real winner. That could be something that you really want to. GFS severe. Oh my gosh, Dean. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, right? Just, oh my goodness. Like the GFS, how is it even, oh man. I feel like I could have a whole live stream dedicated to that where I can just talk about why are we here? Even the Canadian has been doing much better than the GFS for some time now. Especially in the long range. I've noticed since the end, and I think I told you, Dean, about this last week on our stream. The Canadian model, I've noticed it's been doing pretty well in the long range. There were a couple times in the long range that it actually outperformed the Euro late fall and through the fall and whatnot. So I've been putting a little more stock in it this winter. And it seems just about as sharp as the others in detecting something or whatnot. And I do know with Arctic air in place, it does tend to do better. I don't know if that has something to do with them being up in Canada or whatever. Or maybe truly the Canadians did some upgrades to it, their weather office up there, and I have no idea about it, not going to lie. But maybe they did, and those updates were actually good. But Kevin, can I tell you there will be no snow, just rain? Unfortunately, I can't tell you that with 100% certainty at this point. And I'll get to that in a second. I know, I'm kind of drawing this out here. Scott, hi, how are you? And I'm glad you are doing good. Let's see. Keith, you are looking at the Climate Prediction Center site. Yeah, I'm curious. Let me know what they say. I haven't checked them out in a few days. I mean, I do look at the, teleconnections like the MJO, the AO, the NAO, and the PNA and stuff. I do look at those on the Climate Prediction site, but I kind of sometimes forget all the other things that they have. I'll show the outlook sometimes too if I agree with them. But look at this. This is what's going to be the key feature for Thursday. Individual models, some ensemble runs coming out of them too. Some of the panels of the ensembles are showing this closed low trying to develop, and then also digging a little, with a slight negative tilt. That might allow something coastal to develop, but the problem here, and I'm going to get into this, is that there are many pieces of energy, at least 2 to 3, that could come into play with this system, and then therefore multiple surface lows too, and which will be the dominant one. And I know some people were going bonkers because the GFS and the Euro were doing signals of something. I mean, I'm not surprised that there are signals. The setup is there for something coastal. I just question if it's going to end up close enough. With that said, I'll get into the stills that I had been posting to my page. And I want to show consistent cold, by the way, heading into the early part of next week. So when the viewer asked me, what about what's coming up, next Thursday or whatever, I guess 2 Thursdays from now technically. I posted this originally on my Facebook page, and it's still there, obviously, on the 5th. Some things that I liked and some things that I didn't like. Ridging in the Gulf of Alaska and also in the western U.S., good sign. You want that. That's good because that helps force colder air here where you want it. Not the best, but it wasn't the worst. The NAO wasn't looking the strongest. It looked like it might be slightly negative, near neutral at this time, and I've just been watching this, and it still looks like it's not quite where I want it to be, in short. I also, looks a little too unfavorable up here too. The AO is now trending negative, which is good, and that's better because that does help kind of speak to whether or not all the cold air is locked up at the poles, or if we can get those chunks of cold air. And that's why that pattern I just showed you showed a lot of blue over us. That's because we are going to, get to tap into some of the cold again. That's not to say there can't be a few milder days sprinkled in. This might not be a constant cold day after day like December. It very well might not be. But we will get back to having cold and Arctic air masses again. And something to watch too. It's kind of hard to see on this particular type of map, but gotta watch the southern jet here. It is starting to show signs of showing up. So if cold air, you get it far enough south and it connects with the southern jet, things could get a little coastal. And we did say in our winter weather outlook in particular, we think the end of February and into March would be our best chance for a big storm, aka something big and coastal to develop. I think we could get some teasers though through the second half of the month. I think there will be things to watch. I could easily see at least 2 to 3 additional I don't want to say storms because they might not become a storm, or at least a storm that's relative to us. We'll just say something for lack of a better term here, but there could be a couple somethings to watch before the month is up, and this could be the first one of those. So this, I was like, and this is an ensemble. I don't really look at a single model because that can fluctuate so much. So this is the EPS ensemble, and when we look at the upper level pattern, troughing's good. That means you got the cold trying to work its way back in. But when you draw a line through this, it has a positive tilt to it. So I was like, that might favor something weak or just a fish storm at best. Well, I revisited this last Thursday, since a little bit of time had passed since that original post, and that would have been 3 days later. Things started to look a little better, and I'm also showing the same exact thing, the EPS. I'm also using that, the ensembles. This looks much better. The ridging, I like the placement of the core of the ridge. That's shifting a little bit more and centering itself in the western U.S. This blocking out in the northern Atlantic still gives me pause. I kind of wish it was just slightly down here, just a little more, just to kind of force this a little more, because I feel like that would really help, not just dig it and tilt it more negative so that we can get development. You really want the energy to be here at the beginning, not here. Otherwise, it can't catch up to a storm on time. That's why I say cold air lags. The cold air can't meet up with whatever tries to form off the coast. And that was one of my big reservations about seeing that particular feature that I tried to explain in my very long-winded post. So I was a little concerned about that. Also concerned about where this was. NAO blocking, though, came in a little bit better, which is good. Not perfect, but it's good. You really usually want very strong blocking in an actual area of high pressure, neither of which we're going to have if you really want a nice, big, good coastal storm. So right now, everything to me is just saying, should something develop close enough to the coast? Signals are telling me right now weak. Weak, if it's something weak. And even there's still just something nagging at the back that says, fish storm. Are they, they're just playing around here a little, trying to get us hyped up. I got this nagging feeling too, but that could also just be, and sometimes it's hard to, facts are in front of us. This is good. We like this. This isn't the best, but this is still good. You can't see it, but we do have breaks of colder air up here showing, a negative Arctic oscillation. That's good. This, I still just wish this was a little bit more to the southeast. I really do. At least for something moderate. Otherwise, I'm just afraid it could just form too late. Or intensify too late. Maybe it forms and we get something light, but then it's too far out to sea by the time it intensifies. So this is an update I posted this afternoon for Thursday. I have to say, the placement here, this is shifted a little, just slightly. It's so subtle, but it slightly has just the teeniest bit. But I like that. I like that that has shifted a little bit more, because what that helped to do, that shift, is helping to push this a little more and helping it tilt, starting to tilt more negative. And after this particular frame, I think this is 18Z Thursday, so this is 1 p.m. So by 8 p.m., you do get some negative tilt here. This is strong and this is good. That's going to help maybe slow it down and give it time to develop, this blocking upstream. That's not bad, but I still wonder if it's too far northeast. I can't help but feel that nagging at me. I know I've said it like 4 times now, but I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, maybe I just want things to be too perfect. It could be just that. It could be one of those cases. I think, though, what I do think is something will form along the Mid-Atlantic, New England coastline. Question is, where exactly? And how quickly does it develop and intensify? Can it get the energy that's going to be riding this? Will the two be able to meet? So that's still what's up in the air, and the models are kind of going a little haywire trying to figure it out. Obviously, some are going a little more cray-cray than others. GFS. And others like the Euro at least get the essence of what I'm thinking and have been thinking, and that it's either fish storm or it's something weaker. And even accumulations could be up in the air because there are just so many moving pieces here. It's very possible that whatever happens is under an inch. I can't rule out a few inches, even though the models have been spitting out a little more, although inconsistently, and I'm not going to say which model and what run. I've been watching them the last few days. I absolutely have been. Also want to point out that the Canadian has had consistently nothing, which also gives me a little pause for concern, knowing in the back of my head that fish storm kind of scares me a little still. So yeah, Jonathan, things are moving in the right direction. They are, and they have been. Again, like I said, maybe I'm just waiting. Maybe I just want everything to be too perfect. But I just feel like this needs to be just a little bit more. This blocking needs to be here to kind of force this to pull closer to the coast as it develops, and that's just. And I mentioned this, I think this was one of my points on, my main point was the tilt of the trough on Thursday, and also this positioning. In the absence of strong NAO blocking, strong Greenland blocking up here without a high pressure system, I feel like this placement might be a little more important than it might otherwise need to be, because if it was just a little bit more upstream and a little bit farther south, then that could slow this down more and force some more digging closer to us. And that just, it's just about trying to align everything just right, and I just am not entirely convinced here. I think, crying storm for sure, big storm of any kind is very preliminary. Very preliminary. In fact, I think this is going to have a hard time spitting out more than 6 inches. And I say that with reasonable confidence here. That's not to say I think we're getting 3 to 6 inches. I also want to be clear on that. It's not out of the realm of possibilities, but right now I see that as a low end probability. I see this worst case scenario, and don't hold me to this because things can change and I can be wrong. I will admit I can be wrong. I've been wrong before. Sometimes things beat the odds. I'll say that straight up. But based on what I just talked to you guys about and the setup that I just showed you, this is either going to be 1 to 3 inches or a coating to nothing. Or I'm sorry, a nothing to nothing to an inch. I think this is a setup that's going to have a really hard time doing that for us. Unless we can get a low to quickly develop very close to the mid-Atlantic coast. But right now, I'm not sold on that. I'm just not sold on that. But we'll see. I mean, things can change, but yeah, no classical winter coastal storm with pirate ships and lightning. I know, right? Where's the fun without the pirate ships and the darn lightning, man? Hurricane a-comin'. Snow-a-cane in this instance, I suppose. You have a good night, Adam. Thanks for jumping on. See you next Sunday. Yeah, Keith, boo on Canada. Hating on Canada. Hey, Kenneth, thank you for dropping in. Duncannon was beautiful. You didn't end up seeing any of those snow squalls? Lucky you, I guess. Irving, you say you always hear the Ohio River Valley. Is that the shift point for wind? I'm not sure what you mean by shift point for wind. I'm sorry. The Ohio River Valley, let's see. I really don't know if there is much significance to that. I just say that geographically sometimes on my maps personally because that's just what the area is called, because the Ohio River goes from southwestern Pennsylvania and then goes, ultimately down through several other states. I believe Kentucky is one of them. I don't remember entirely. Does it go into the Mississippi? It might ultimately feed into the Mississippi River, actually, if memory serves me correctly, but maybe I'm not remembering my geography correctly. I'd have to be digging back to, like, grade school stuff, and I'll admit my memory isn't the best with that anymore, at least not how it used to be. And where the yellow line is. No, that's really not a typical thing. That just happens. Okay, I understand your question now, Irving. I'm sorry. That just happens to be where that line is lining up. And it's not really a, I mean, I guess you could interpret it as a wind shift. It just really shows the direction of the trough. So when a trough is, and I know this might end up being backwards, when a trough is positively tilted, it's really in the beginning development stages, so if anything were to form downstream, you wouldn't really be getting much energy or anything to really help with it. If you get a negative tilt, you get the base of the trough, you get your energy, and it's able to catch up with any coastal system or any system in general. This can happen, this doesn't have to happen on the coast, this could happen a little more out west somewhere, just a random, you know, snowstorm that forms in the plains or something. And then, you know, a negatively tilted trough, it's digging, it's moving fast, it's strengthening as it's doing that. So when it catches up with an area of low pressure, that area of low pressure can just go woo and really become something decent. So that's why the tilt from positive to negative, although like I said, as I'm doing it in front of me, it's the right way, but it might be in reverse for you guys, so I'm sorry. Definitely go by the picture and not my hand motions. It can definitely make a big difference in if a storm can intensify or not, and getting the cold air in time to help this system be able to produce snow. If the cold air doesn't catch up with whatever's trying to form, because the energy and the upper level trough isn't coming down to do it, then you don't get any storm. You get rain and a few showers. It's literally the difference between all of that for sure. So those are some key things that I'm keeping a close eye on for sure. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Scott, for the Eagles. Yeah, and it was also windy down there too, although I cannot give Jake Elliott a pass for that at this point. I just can't. Truth be told, I know he did that kick that first season. I was never a fan of him, though, even after that, and I don't know. I think he needs to go. Anyways. Oh, good, Irving. I'm glad you're getting into this week after week. I'm glad I'm sharing my meteorology. It's kind of turning you into the nerd for sure. But yeah, so that's kind of what my take is on this right now. This doesn't have big snowpocalypse for sure. Please do not listen. Hit the X on anything that posts just a run of the GFS. Not even now. In the future, because I am just so over it. Everybody should know by now the GFS makes on storms, but there are still people who will share it, and then everybody asks me, Andrew, is it gonna snow? What? And I'm just like, oh, not again. Time after time, it becomes so, it just becomes so mentally exhausting. And then we get grouped together and it's like, oh, you're calling for snow again, and then it didn't happen. And it's like, actually, no, I didn't. But, okay. Right now, I just think there's the possibility of some snow showers. I'm hesitant to go light snow. And the way things trend, I mean, if they trend in that direction, then we'll change it in the next couple days. But right now, I have 30% in snow showers. Fun fact, 12Z Euro had some snow. 18Z Euro, 18Z is backing down. 12Z Euro today did a complete flop. So it's just the inconsistency. They just still can't figure out all these moving pieces. They're seeing the signals, and they're just struggling to decipher them. They're seeing the pieces that'll come into play, and they're just struggling to figure out exactly what those are going to do. And for sharing the deterministic runs of the GFS and the Euro, and I know I'm getting myself on a tangent here, a lot of their ensemble members have this being a miss or little to nothing for the Euro and for the GFS. In fact, when the GFS was spitting out its doomsday stuff yesterday, it was either yesterday or the day before, maybe it was yesterday, only 3 of its ensembles had snow, and that was the one of its, like, that run, like, and all the others did not. All the other members didn't, and it just goes to show why you can't share a deterministic model, one single run, one deterministic model, especially more than 5 days out. I don't think you should ever show totals unless they're your own totals. I think they're good, you know, to gauge and get an idea of what you might be up against, but they can still change so much from 3 to 5 days. And yeah, that's why I figured, you know, I don't post. I saw others posting stuff like this, and, you know, when I want to be better, I watch what other people who I think are better are doing, and that's where I got this idea from. I felt like, well, if I can't post that, maybe I can at least post this and explain to you and show you what I'm seeing and what I can tell you. Somebody on this post today actually said I was hyping by doing that. And I'm like, no, this isn't hyping. This is giving the facts in response to all of the hype that I'm seeing. Take one sentence out of my post and please tell me what sentence of that was hype. It was just saying facts. But, you know, there's always going to be something. Oh, yeah. I'm Italian. Italians use their hands. And the angrier we get, the more we use them. Ah! Should have seen my grandpa. Woo! Anyways, that's what I think, you know. Something's going to happen. Whether or not that something is much for Pennsylvania has yet to be seen. I think in western Pennsylvania, by the way, with the cold front, it's very possible, and the upper level trough coming in, it is possible just to get straight up snow showers from the system itself and not whatever coastally might be developing. But along central and eastern portions, I mean, we can't rule out the possibility, especially farthest east, of some rain mixing in at first, and say Philadelphia, maybe as far east as or as far west rather as Lancaster. I mean, you know, these are things that, you know, especially out in New Jersey, you really need to get the cold in to get snow there. So, I mean, there's a lot of what ifs right now. So, trying to put out totals, I mean, I can just tell you this does not have the markings of a big storm. With that said, we'll wrap this up and put a pretty bow on it and show the 7-day again. Jonathan, you said exact opposite, actually, LOL. I don't know what that's in response to, so I cannot respond. I am sorry. Yeah, and you know, Keith, my thing with rain and snow is, if we're going to be cold, it might as well snow. If it's just going to do the wishy-washy stuff, then I'm not interested. And if it's just going to be mild, if it's going to be cold and no snow, then I just don't want the snow, if that makes it. Or I don't want the cold, I'm sorry. I don't want the cold if it's not going to snow. To me, it's not worth it at that point. Oh, me hyping. Yeah, I know. Exactly. It was like, I'm like, what the heck? Talking about it doesn't mean I'm hyping it. It's my job to give information. Because let's be real here. Like, I tried that route. I tried to say, well, if we're not talking about it, maybe they'll say, oh, it's probably... Instead, people were like, why aren't you talking about this? So-and-so said, and then it's like, oh, people do want to hear us talk about it. They do. And they do want me to give you this heads up on Thursday, even if Thursday isn't, you know, going to be anything. Just, hey, it's on our radar. We're watching. We'll keep you posted. But this is far from a guarantee and far from locked in, and that's just the reality of it. There could be more opportunities, though, and I will leave it at that. Rather have snow. Sorry, what I meant to say, Irving, was that if it's going to be cold, then give me the snow. I don't want the cold without the snow. Otherwise, it can just be warm and rainy if you're not going to give me snow. I could get a little jaded by it, though, because it makes things very busy at work for me, a little stressful, a little busy, so, you know, it can't be constant. I do need a little break here and there. But a few nice things, you know, just to keep things interesting and fun. Yeah. Alrighty, so, yeah, you have a great week, Keith, too. Thanks for jumping on again. And Irving, yeah, Glad I was able to clarify. Sorry. Been talking for a while. Brain gets a little mush sometimes this long in. Trying to get better at it though. Sometimes it's just so hard to keep the focus near the end of it and everything. But yeah. I know, Jerry, that we've been at the farm show. We've had reporters there already. I don't think there's any like actual plan for specific on-air talent to go there at certain times. I don't think any of us are doing the milkshake competition this year either, which is sad. I know our morning team usually does. I want to try to make it up there before it closes up, but I have a feeling I'm unfortunately not going to make it there. And I mean going for my own fun, not because work made me. I just have a feeling I'm not going to be able to this year, which is sad because I love those milkshakes. Easy way to ruin those New Year's resolutions too, man. Oh, the milkshakes, the mozzarella cubes. Oh, I love those things. Oh, those are my favorite. Or whatever you guys call them, fried cheese cubes. I know they're mozzarella and I love it. I'm a big mushroom fan. I want to try some of these mushroom things that they have this year. Totally want to. Some of those things sounded delicious. Yeah, I know. A lot of you are going to say, ew, mushrooms. They're either like it or hate them. My daughter likes them. My husband won't even touch one. Won't even look at one. He'll at least cook them for me, though. And for that, I am grateful. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. I'll do my best to keep you up to date, of course, on Thursday. So that, keep the hype down. Just, keep calm. Can't see my full little yoga pose here. Just keep calm and let weather do weather. It's going to do what it's going to do, and I'm going to tell you guys once I'm feeling pretty certain what it's going to do. You'll know when I know. We'll leave it at that for sure. Yeah, oh, you would think, Dean, not always. Not always. I miss the years when I got to do the chef competitions. Oh man, the cook-offs, those were great. And you got to be the little side chef. I got to do that a few times years back, and that was fun. You're very welcome, Jonathan. Yes, God, I know. I don't really know what the reasoning for it is, but I think they just tend to focus. Yeah, I think it was COVID. Now that I'm reading the rest of your question, at least initially, I don't know. I don't think, obviously COVID, I mean, yes, you can still get sick, but it's not the possible death sentence for, those prone groups that it was when it first started. I mean, even a year and a half, 2 years later, we were pretty much done with that point of it after the virus evolved enough. So I don't know why once things, did get better, why we just didn't go back to that as hard. I really wish I knew. I mean, I'll always let you guys know, though, ahead of time if I do know I'm doing these things. So keep to it, though, guys. Have a great week ahead. You too, Irving. Hope you have a great week. Thank you all for tuning in. And, of course, great Sunday night. See you next Sunday. We'll see if we will have had a storm by then or not, or maybe we'll be eyeing the next one. Only time will tell. Take care. Time will tell.